Sydney terror attack has just reminded the globe regarding the Pehalgam terror attack. Just because there are several similarities in both the terror attacks, how it has been conspired and who are behind this attack, what is the motive of that attack. On December 14, 2025, the terrorists have killed 16 civilians at Bondi Beach in Australia, Sydney. Similarly, the Pehalgam terror attack that happened on 22nd of April 2025 that killed 26 people, they all were the civilians. And in fact, both the terror attacks having several kind of similarities. In the upcoming minutes, we will tell you that what are the similarities in both the terror attacks. But there was one difference in the retaliation of the governments. We will tell you one by one. Number one, the location. The location in Australia's terror attack, again a civilian, a tourist location. Bondi Beach is one of the hotspots of tourists where the Jewish were celebrating their Hanukkah festival. And in fact, two gunmen all of a sudden reached there. They started opening the fire and killed 15 civilians. In retaliation, the police action, one gunman has been killed in that spot. But the selection of the location by those terrorists is very much specific. They wanted to target the Jews when they were celebrating their festival. And in fact, that location was a Bondi Beach, which is the hotspot for the national as well as international tourists. And now we will talk about Pehalgam. The location of Pehalgam was selected by the attackers, by the terrorists, again with one similar mind to create the terror among the civilians. All unarmed people were killed on April 22nd, 2025. Again, the selection of the location was they wanted to target the tourists, the outsiders. It happened in the hub of the Kashmir in India, and in fact no local was targeted. The terrorists have asked the religion before they killed the people in Pehalgam. So now let's come to point number 2. Another similarity behind the link, the backlink of both terror attack. Bondi Beach, the terrorists were having the links in Pakistan, and in fact the terrorists have trained in ISIS before they have executed this terror attack. Similarly, the Pehalgam terror attack was being conspired by Pakistani handlers. The terrorists were sent from the cross border to execute this terror attack to target the civilians, especially the Hindus. So number 3 similarity is targeting one community. In Bondi Beach terror attack, the target was Jews, only Jews, just because they have selected the location and time when all the Australian Jews one place and in fact celebrating their festival together. And whenever they started opening fire, they all were Jews in front of the guns. And they all were killed, identified as Jews of Australia. So now we will talk about the Pehalgam attack. Again, the terrorists have targeted only Hindus. In Pehalgam attack, they have asked the religion before they killed. They have asked the full name of every single person before they shot them down. And even again, the Hindus were targeted on that terror attack. So this is the second similarity. In Australia, Jews were on the target of the terrorists, and even in Pehalgam, Hindus were targeted. And now the similarity number 3. It is the Islamic terror behind both the terror attacks. The terrorists that executed the attack in Sydney, they were trained in ISIS, sent from Pakistan. And both were Muslims and both were Pakistanis. And in fact, they have a motive in that terror attack. They opened the gunshots blindly and they have captured one position, and even for continuously 11 minutes, they fired upon the unarmed people who were celebrating their festival at Bondi Beach. And similarly, again the Islamic terror was behind Pehalgam attack. They wanted to create the terror, Islamic terror in fact, among the minds of Hindu, and try to send a message that don't come to Pehalgam or don't come to Srinagar, just because Pehalgam was a place where several tourists, national and international, they visit there, enjoy that environment and activities. But the specific target was only one community, just to spread the Islamic terror. Number 4 point. again, this terror wanted to create a terror and a fear in the minds of specific community. Even in Sydney's terror attack, these Pakistanis, these Islamics, these Muslims, they tried to create a terror among the Jews so that they wanted to send a message. Those gunmen were being trained by ISIS, and in fact, then they have sent to Australia to launch this attack. So they wanted to create a terror among the minds in the Jews, and that is happening here in Australia. So now let's talk about the Pehalgam also. There were cross-border terrorism. They tried to create the panic in India, and they wanted to keep Kashmir separate from India by their terrorist activities. And even that was also an attempt, that Pehalgam terror attack. They asked the full name, fired the bullet, even they fired from the point blank range just to create the terror so that no more locals or any outsider or international tourists try to visit in Pehalgam. So this was the motive of both the terror attacks and other similarity. So now the next similar thing between two attacks were, this was not the first attack. Even if we talk about Australia's terror attack, there is several protests and the attacks that faced by the Jews staying in Australia. Some of them is facing, their shops has been vandalized, their Jewish special schools has been put on fire and vandalized, several graffitis has been pasted on the walls of the houses and the neighbors of the Jews by these people to create a terror. And even the similar was in Pehalgam. Pehalgam was a place where several terrorist activities has been dedicated and in fact identified and detected by the armed forces, and they have neutralized several terrorists. So this is not the first attack, neither in Australia nor in India. But India has learned so many lessons, but Australia have not learned one single lesson. And finally, on December 14, 2025, 16 people have lost their life just because the government has not taken any kind of step and not learned any single lesson from the past incidents. So now let's talk about the one difference. There is only one single difference between Australia and India. On April 22, 2025, Pehalgam terror attack was happened. And in fact, immediately after that, India has launched Operation Sindoor. India's security forces, Indian Air Force have destroyed the launch pads, the base of the terrorists inside the Pakistan. Indian fighter jets have entered into the Pakistan, they have destroyed the bases of the Pakistan and they return back to India. And in retaliation, Pakistan has also launched the drone attacks and even sent their fighter jets and even fired several missiles to India, but everything has been went into vain. But yes, India retaliated, India bounced back, and India has given one single answer to the Pakistan and to the terrorists. If they try to create such kind of unrest inside India, India will not remain silent. But what happened in Australia? On December 14, 2025, Bondi Beach in Australia, Sydney terror attack happened. What after that? Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, come up and giving the statement that investigation is underway.
This was an attack deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration, and the Jewish community are hurting today. Today, all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, we stand with you. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge and we will eradicate it together. The Australian Federal Police and ASIO are working closely.
They have not talked about any kind of action against those terrorists. And on the other side, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he has given a statement that several alerts has been issued to Australia. Even Benjamin Netanyahu has also written a letter warning Australia that these kind of activities are taking place in Australia. It might turn into a deadly attack. But again, Australian government has not paid any kind of heed to it, resulting 16 people have lost their life. 16 Jews have lost their life in Australia. So now Australia is taking the action but not opening any kind of offensive action against the terrorism.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire."
If we talk about in Israel, a tourist spot was targeted by Hamas in Israel. What happened after that? Everybody knows in this world. Gaza war, that is still continued. Several world leaders are intervening into Israel-Gaza war, but it has not reached to any kind of rest. Just because Israeli Prime Minister and Israel are taking it head-on collision. They wanted to destroy the entire Hamas terrorism from Israel as well as from Gaza Strip. But silence of Australia is inviting more terrorist attacks just because this is not the first attack. Since 2023, there are several incidents that has been reported in the different parts of the Australia where Jews were remain on the target with different kind of offenses and different kind of criminal activities. But Australia has not taken any kind of harsh action against the violators. So result is all in front of you.
The Australian Federal Police and ASIO are working closely with New South Wales authorities, and the briefing we've just had, we have had the AFP there, and the AFP Commissioner will return to Australia today. We will dedicate every single resource that is required in responding to this.
Several similarities, but only one difference, where the India has given a strong message to the entire world. Whosoever wanted to create unrest inside India, India will not remain silent. India will bounce back. India will retaliate with double force. India will destroy that sentiment that is coming against Indians. But will the Australia do the same thing? Just because both the terrorists, father and son, they have taken the training from ISIS. The flags has been recovered. ISIS, in fact, flags has been recovered from their cars. They have the past link of ISIS. After taking the training from ISIS, they have launched this terror attack. And even if we just see that 11-minute video in which continuously they both gunmen were opening fire. They have captured one footbridge and taking the shelter of that footbridge, they were firing on both sides and killed 16 people, 16 unarmed civilian Jews at that beach. So this is how it has happened. But what about Australia? Will the Australia is going to take any kind of harsh action against these terrorists who are continuously trying to create unrest in Australia and making it unsafe? Or they will keep doing their investigation and keep concentrating on the conspiracy without taking any kind of action? This is the big question. Is this the nation should respond on the terrorist attacks, or the nation should come with the retaliation?